Good evening, everyone. Happy Saturday. I hope you are doing well. It is officially the Single Women's Series. If you are watching, please let us know where you're watching from and who you are. We are so excited to have you join us today on the Life After Hurt podcast with yours truly, Nicole and Sweeney. And today we are going to be talking about singleness. Yes, singleness among women. Today's podcast is entitled Yes, I'm Single. And I don't know about you, but over the past several years, I always get asked this one question: when are you getting married? And I don't know about you, but sometimes that question can be a little overwhelming and frustrating. So we want to create a space and a platform for all of us to just have this conversation. It is long overdue. And I believe that God wants us to look at single and being single in a different way, in a positive way. And so today we are going to debunk some myths about being single. We are going to celebrate singleness, and we are going to just have a lot of knowledge and just share what are some of the positive things that can come out of being single. And you guys will hear from a young lady who has been on the podcast previously. She's back for a second time, Miss Faith. And before I bring her to the stage, I am going to read her bio so that you guys can familiarize yourself with her for those of you who may be watching for the very first time. Miss Faith Edgar is devoted to her life's work to the protection of children, women, and families. She currently serves as a senior facilitator with the Workforce Institute at the City College of New York. She has served 19 years providing professional development and training to child welfare staff across the 5 boroughs of New York. She's served as a social worker at Tier 2 Family Shelter in Harlem. She's facilitated a women's support group that empowered shelter residents to gain resources. She is a National Alumni Association of Spelman College. She is a Delta Sigma Theta. She is a part of the Friends of Newark Symphony Hall Network. She's a member of the St. James AME Church in Newark, New Jersey, where she serves as a steward and a dance ministry leader. If you guys want to join me, please let us welcome Miss Faith Edgar. Come on in the room, Faith.
Hello, Nicole.
Hi, Faith. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling all right. I can't complain.
Good, good. So before we get started, I know this month is the month of March, and you have a birthday in the month of
Oh,
March, don't we?
yes, yes, we do.
So we want to just celebrate you, even though it's not your birthday yet, but we just want to celebrate you and tell you happy birthday and many more because this is a milestone birthday, and may all of your heart's desires and dreams come true.
Wow, you caught me off guard with that. I didn't know you were gonna do that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, Faith, today we are talking about singleness. And the name of this podcast series is Yes, I'm Single. And we want to go into some of the myths that we hear about being single. And I thought that you would be one of the perfect persons to have this conversation with, as sisters, as friends. And actually, the last podcast you were on, we kind of started talking about this. And so
Yes.
that was actually birthed out of that conversation we recently had. So tell me, what is your definition of singleness or being single? How would you define it?
You know what? It's a pretty simple definition, we talk about my definition of it. I just think of it as a state of being in one's own space.
Mm,
Yeah, very
I
simple.
love that definition. The state of being in one space.
One's
And that
own
one
space. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. And that one space could vary from person to person, depending on what season they're in life
exactly.
and what they have going on. I love that definition.
Yes,
Okay. All
very
right.
simple.
Very simple. Exactly. We keep it simple on the Life After Her podcast. Okay, so over the past 10 years, do you think there has been a shift in culture and how singleness is viewed? And if so, tell us how.
I think that there definitely has been a shift in culture in terms of how singleness is viewed. I think it's like a different perspective now than it used to be. And so it seems that there's more of an acknowledgement now that there are
Mm,
a lot of people that are single. Not everyone gets married. And so I know just personally, just I know a lot of people who are single, right?
mhm.
And so I think that it's it's not considered a demerit
Mm,
because it used to feel like a demerit. And so what I mean by that is, in the past, if you said you were single, it was kind of like you were seen as lacking something.
mm.
That, then assumptions begin to be made about you in terms of the why, you're
Yeah,
single. So it was just like an expectation that everybody just gets married or if that's what you do, right?
yeah,
So I think it's been a shift now. I think it's changed now. It's evolved.
yeah. I like that. I like that you said is not a demerit. And it's shifted and it has evolved. And I agree. I think there are more people single or waiting longer to get married, and
Yes.
it's okay,
Exactly. Yes.
right? I also think there's some views where there is a negative twist on it, like the question has said, when are you getting married? And I
Yes.
can't even count on my hands, my toes, how many times I've gotten that question. And so I think it's the best of both worlds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely, Nicole. I definitely agree with you. It just feels
Mhm.
like it's more of an openness now.
Yeah.
And you kind of see it in different ways. Like, they have
Yeah.
more dating sites and things that cater, to being single, special events, and even
Mm-hmm.
ministries, ministries that are created. Like you have single ministries now, even
Mm-hmm.
in houses of worship. So,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, in your own experiences or the spirits experiences around you, what do you think are some of the myths or innuendos you've heard about being single?
you crazy. So
Yeah,
you must be crazy and
yeah.
nobody wants to be with you, or I've heard like, well, you must be one of those independent, women. You're too
Mm,
independent.
mm-hmm.
So I guess, it's an assumption that you don't need someone, you don't need a man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just that sometimes you're kind of perceived as that you have these totally unrealistic expectations,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
of what you expect,
Yeah,
from a partner. So yeah, just all those assumptions that get made.
yeah, yeah. It is assumptions because instead of asking, are you happy, or what's going on in your life, that's one of the first questions that people tend to ask, and they do make these assumptions about you on whether or not you're in a relationship. And sometimes it's by choice, or maybe God says otherwise, but people just
Mhm.
make these assumptions as
Yes,
to why you're single.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, what are some of the ways family, friends, and or society has pressured women regarding their relationship status?
I think that families, sometimes, they may mean well,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes families, kind of based on maybe beliefs in terms of what happens in that particular family, like everyone's married. And so if you're the only person that's not married, it's seen as, like, well, you have to get married.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to get married. Sometimes it may be connected to what expectations are in terms of the roles,
Yeah.
of what the woman is supposed to play, where it may be seen as you get married so that you have a partner, so that you have someone to take care of you. You
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and sometimes, when you think about, friends, sometimes if your friends are married, again, sometimes people mean well, but they
Yeah.
may inadvertently kind of make you feel like, you're not growing or being as mature, especially if they're married, right? So you're
Mm,
the only, like, that single one.
yeah. Yeah.
And then sometimes just society, again, just everything. And I think you kind of said it, in terms of when you were thinking about this series, that it's just an expectation that society has that you have to be paired up or coupled up, in order to be successful, or to be making a difference in your life, or to be able to.
Right.
So there's a lot of these different ways and different spaces, that kind of create,
Yeah.
that you have to be,
Yeah.
otherwise something's wrong, or you can't.
Yes. Yeah. And you said two things that sparked a thought, and I think generationally, right? Years ago, I would say, my grandparents and my parents, they always had an expectation. You get married at a certain age, you start to have children,
Absolutely.
and that mindset, right, can trickle into, like you were saying, this unrealistic expectation that now, okay, you're at a certain age
Hmm.
and this is something that you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
And it sometimes it kind of comes off as people can sometimes make people feel like they're incomplete when they
Yes.
are single, when
Absolutely.
in fact that's the myth. Like you said, you could be one and whole with yourself as a single person.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
like how you put that. I think you captured that really well, right? Like that,
Yeah.
some kind of way something is missing from you. It's like a puzzle that has that piece
Yeah.
that doesn't complete it. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So this podcast is not controversial. We are fair to everyone, right? And we want everyone to feel safe, whether it's man or woman. Now, with that being said, do you believe that there is a different standard for men when it comes to being single?
Whew. Loaded. I do think, well, in general, we know that there's double standards when it comes to genders. And I think when you talk about, being single, I think there is a different standard for men, to an
Mm-hmm.
extent. I think that for men, there's more of an allowance. I feel
Mm,
sometimes, they're kind of given a pass. There's more understanding. Like, it's okay if you're single. You'll find someone. Don't worry about it. But for us, I think we're questioned more as
yeah.
women in terms
Yeah.
of the singleness, right?
Yeah.
Because I think there's an expectation and an assumption. We've been using that word a lot already in this podcast,
Right.
right? Assumptions. There's an assumption that women, again, are natural nurturers, and that you're supposed to want that. Like, and if you don't, right, and then you don't have that, then again, what is the problem, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I definitely think that it's a different standard,
Yeah.
for men to an extent. Yes.
Yeah. I would agree. I would totally agree. So besides society and culture, do you think there are any other factors that impact women struggling with being single?
Yes. So I mean, a lot of it is really based on sometimes when we think about a person's religious beliefs, right,
Mm-hmm.
or practices. Some, religions have very strict, kind of expectations in terms of
Yeah.
what the woman's role is and what she should do and what she should not do.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you talk about the church, that just kind of resonates for me. When you talk about that, because there's different ideas around it. The idea that um, God didn't make man to be alone, and
Mm-hmm.
so He created woman, right? And
Yeah.
so the idea again that that natural expectation that you have to be coupled up and you have to find that partner. So if you hold on to that, in and of itself, it could cause you to start to kind of question yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you start to maybe questioning, like, am I in alignment with what
Mm.
my purpose is, right?
Yeah.
Based on what is being directed at me and how I'm interpreting, what
Yeah.
I understand, about what the word says. So you can develop issues with your self-esteem or self-concept, and
Mm.
believe that you're lacking something.
Mm. Yeah, I want to unpack that a little bit because there are a lot of women who could feel that way, who feel that because they are not married and
Right.
there are no prospects in the lineup, nobody pursuing, and they feel like they can't fully live their lives, or they may feel, like you said, an impact on their self-esteem or their self-worth because they are single. And transparently speaking, I had to walk through that journey.
Mhm.
I was in a season where I was like, oh my God, all my friends are in a relationship. I need to be in a relationship, or I'm getting older and I need to find someone so that I can have children. And like all
Yes.
of these like expectations that I
Hmm.
was feeling, that I was hearing, really had a major impact on who I was selecting, me feeling
Hmm.
like I had to rush and be
Right.
with somebody just because I needed to, hit that
Time
timeline.
frame, right? That timeline. Hmm.
Yeah. And so that could really alter just God's entire plan. And we all know that God has a plan for each of us.
Yes.
And He does not want us to measure our worth based on our relationship status.
Exactly.
So what are your thoughts about that? Or you want to unpack that a little bit or have an opinion about that?
I mean, I totally agree with you. I mean, as you're talking, I mean, first of all, you're not alone in that, right? Because I had that timeline. I laugh about it now when I think about it. Because I
Yep.
was supposed to be at least in a serious relationship at this age.
Yep.
Moving into in the next few years after that. Getting engaged and then getting married, and then I need to have my one or two children before this age, right? So I,
Mhm.
have to say that that's long past. Right? So that didn't happen. So you just have to change your perspective, and so it definitely has to be around making the main thing the main thing, and the main thing is, again, you know if I believe and say that I trust in God, and that if He has what's for me is for me,
Yes.
and just staying with that it's not about my timeline or time frame,
Mhm.
lean on your own understanding, but acknowledge Him, right? And it's
Yes.
something that He's going to direct me to where He needs me to be and who He wants me to be with.
Yeah.
So I
Absolutely.
definitely believe, and just trust in the process. Like, where I'm at is where I'm supposed to be right now.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm still getting, working some things out, or maybe whoever He has for me, He's still working some things out for them, so that when we come together, we'll be on one accord.
Yes. And you can live a fulfilling life being single.
Hmm.
And the assumption, as we were saying earlier, is that you can't live a fulfilling life being single when that is not the case at all. You work, you have, other things going on. You're involved in the community, you're a leader in your church ministry, you have friends, you travel. Like the last podcast, you mentioned that you travel to Africa. And so there is so much to life. Not saying that being in a relationship is not important, because I
Right.
believe that it is. And if
Right.
that's our true desire, we need to stand on that. But
Absolutely.
I believe that God wants to show us so many things and experience life, before and even after, that one comes, that person comes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go a little deeper
Uh-oh. We
into
getting
this
deep. We getting
conversation.
deep.
Yeah, we're going to get deep. So before we ask this question, I just want to shout out those who are watching.
Oh, okay. Who's
Um,
watching?
hey, Renee. She said yes to a comment. So she has been agreeing with what has been shared. Lee, thank you for watching. Sweeney Milligan, thank you for watching. Kira, thank you for watching. Sherry Blake,
Hey,
thank you for
Sherry.
watching. She said, great discussion. Shakira says, great questions. So Miss Julia is on. Hi, Julia. You know
Hi,
Julia.
Julia. JB.
JB, what's up, JB? All right. So thank you again for watching, everyone. So, do you believe, Faith, that there is an agenda, warfare, or some type of spiritual attack on single women?
Ooh, Nicole. Now that's a really good question. And it's interesting when I think about it. I mean, I hadn't really thought about it in that way, specifically towards single women. Um, I feel
Mm,
there is an agenda, and I've looked at it like there's an agenda or warfare or spiritual attack on society overall.
yeah.
And so I think there has been a shift in morality,
Mm,
and
mm,
I think that with that shift on society as a whole, it can connect to single women based on how we're viewed,
mm.
if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. So when I'm thinking about is like,
Yes.
when we do shame or we judge single women for being single, right? It could be seen or it can feel like an attack, right? When we make those assumptions,
Yeah.
about why,
Yeah.
single, women, are single, it could feel that way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really good question.
Yeah, I love how you said that there is a shift in morality and how we are viewed as single women. Let's those of you that are watching, if you want to add a comment
Yeah,
or
please
share
do. I
your
love to
thoughts,
hear it.
right, and opinions about that, do you guys think that there is an agenda or warfare or spiritual attack on single women? And I like that you said that, like you just said, there's a shift in morality and how we are viewed, which can make us feel like you were saying, um that can impact our self-worth, our
Mhm.
self-image, and how we do relationships. And I think there's this pressure
Yeah.
for us to rush into something, to sometimes settle for what we
Mm. Mm.
know is maybe not be a good fit for us, just
Yes.
to say
That's your
that,
opinion.
exactly, that you're in a relationship.
Yeah. Well,
So
yeah.
that's how I feel. And don't get me started on the whole black woman piece, because that's another way into it.
No, let's get started.
Okay, so then yeah, so let's have a conversation
That's what
about
we're here
that. Kay she thinks that there's a spiritual attack on women, period.
for. Mm.
So which I agree with.
Yes.
But I think, as Black women, there's definitely another layer to it. I believe that society does not celebrate the Black family,
Mm, right.
which I believe in turn has impacted the way Black men and women
Relate to
engage
each
and
other.
interact and relate to each other,
Yeah, absolutely.
which has a trickle effect on the whole relationship and dynamic piece and how we relate to each other. Um, and so I do believe that there is a spiritual attack
Wow.
on women in general, but Black women specifically.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. You almost it's almost like women are being vilified
Mm.
for changes that have happened. You just really like opened up a whole door, which you just said, Nicole. Actually, because I was thinking as you were talking,
Yeah,
I'm thinking, oh my goodness. Um, because
yeah.
our roles have shifted, right? In terms
Mhm.
of just our opportunities, we've had more opportunities to, go outside of those traditional roles, go outside of the home. Like traditionally, if the perception is, your role is to be the wife, to be the mother, and take care of the household, and that's it, right?
Yeah,
But we've had opportunities, to go into the spaces that we weren't allowed into in the
yeah,
workforce,
yeah.
corporate, and then you kind of like we're kind of doing it all, but then you're almost kind of like chastised for it and penalized for it,
Mm.
if you say that, maybe, I need a moment, it's like you're expected to be like a robot to do all of these things, and
Yeah,
in addition to those traditional roles,
yeah,
it's kind of like you're
yeah.
not given that allowance, like,
Mm.
well, you chose this, so you just have to deal with it. So yeah,
Yeah,
you just made me just kind of think, I
yeah,
should impact it a little bit more, how it
yeah,
definitely be an attack. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And that unfortunately can keep the Black family at
Separate.
odds,
Hmm.
separated. And we all know that a part of legacy is community and family and um togetherness and oneness. And I think to stop the legacy and the generational wealth, generational blessings, like all the positive things that you are supposed to hand down from, generation to
To
generation,
generation. Yeah.
has all been impacted. And
Whew.
so yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, it is. That question really has so many different layers to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
initial
it
question.
does.
Yeah,
But God is more powerful than any spiritual attack, and
absolutely.
he can break through anything.
Absolutely.
He can break through anything. Okay. So there are so many myths about being single.
Whew.
For example, if you're single, you're not really happy.
Yes.
If you are single, you don't have any real responsibilities. If you are single, you have all the money in the world.
To give to everybody else.
Right, right, exactly. If you are single, something is wrong with you, or you must be crazy, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
If you are single, you're too picky. If you
Hmm.
are single, you must be hard to get along with. And
Right.
the list goes on and on and on. So, with that being said, how do you think we as women can
Mhm.
change the narrative, or do you believe that it's up to society to change the narrative since they are the ones creating it?
Wow. I really like that question, Nicole. When I think about narratives, right? Because there's so many narratives that get created for different, groups of people, right? That we experience.
Mhm.
And so one way to change the narrative is for us to create our own narrative, And
Yes.
so, like, the second part of the question talks about, society and, the responsibility that they have. Do they need to change it? But I think it starts with us, right?
Yeah.
How I see myself as a single woman is more important than what others think about my
Mm,
singleness, right? I believe that, you have to decide for yourself what being single, means to you. Some
yeah.
of us, are single for different reasons. And I think
Yeah.
that's another thing that, we have to factor in when we see, a single person. A person could be single, by choice, right? You could be single because you're a divorcee, or
Yeah.
because you're a widow or a widower,
Hmm.
right? And so, there's different reasons. And so society may create and they may push certain narratives, but we do not have to conform to those,
Yeah.
narratives. We don't have to, take those in and accept them as our truth.
Mm. Yes, you don't have to accept that as our truth. I absolutely love the way you put that. Um, I'm a writer by nature, so I'm taking notes as
I
you're
know,
talking.
I
Faith. So
know.
don't think I'm not engaged in a conversation. I'm fully
I know you're
engaged.
right there with me.
Yes, that was. I love the way you put that. Yeah, we do have to change, um, the narrative ourselves, and we don't have to accept that as our truth, which I think is important for platforms like this to have this discussion, because there will be a generation of women that is coming behind us who may have to walk this journey, and we want
Yes,
to let them know that, hey, it's okay if you're single. It's okay
absolutely.
if you don't meet the timeline of what society or your family has put on you to be in a relationship, because you can still live a fulfilling life while being
Absolutely.
single. Yeah.
Absolutely. Happily single.
Happily single, exactly.
You
Speaking
can be
of
happily
happily,
single.
yes, absolutely. So speaking of happily single, I was telling Faith earlier, you guys, that I came across this pastor named Pastor Mike Jr., and he's based out of Alabama, and he created a album specifically for single people. And this album is very encouraging, it's hopeful, it makes you feel empowered in your singleness. And I know I have listened to this album on repeat over and over and over again when I do have those moments. And I shared the playlist in the comment section. So if you guys want to save that for yourselves and listen to, just to give you hope around being single and let you know that there's nothing wrong with being single at all. So make sure you guys check the comments for that. All right. So Auntie Joanne says, Nicole and Faith, I am listening. Great conversation. Thank you, Auntie
Oh,
Joanne.
yay.
All right, people are tagging people, guys. Thank you so much for tagging other
Awesome.
individuals in this broadcast. Please continue to tag people as well. We have a comment slash question by David Peters. Hello, nice discussion. As a single man, I appreciate the candor and vulnerability. I wonder if it is possible to love without role definitions getting in the
Mhm.
way. I love women who know that they are okay. What
Wow.
are your thoughts about that, Faith?
Oh, wow. And hi, David. You know, I actually think that's actually a good point, a good thing to think about. I think that there's a myth around being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I think
Mm-hmm.
that I think it is a good idea to embrace that vulnerability and knowing that it's safe and that it is okay.
Yeah.
And so, it's definitely freeing,
Yes.
because I know I had to learn how to do that.
Mm. Yeah.
Because, and I think that I appreciate the question, David, especially coming from, a male perspective. I think that as women, we're conditioned sometimes to feel that we have to be strong all the time. And and then you know where I'm going with this because I see you about to jump in there, right? And I think that that's something that I had to for myself program myself almost.
Yeah.
Um, so the notion of the strong black woman that can never
Mm,
show that you're coming apart or there's a crack at all,
yeah.
just always keeping it together. That's a lot of pressure in and of itself,
Yeah.
and that can take a toll on you emotionally,
Yeah.
and spiritually. It can drain you. And so I learned that it's okay. You have to give yourself permission
Mm-hmm.
to be able
Mm-hmm.
to, not have to be like superwoman, right,
Yeah.
all the time. And so when you do that, it is a freedom in it. And so it is
Mm,
possible, but you have to be intentional around it. I think you have to be aware of the fact that if it is a difficult thing for you to do, some people don't realize, that they don't know how to be vulnerable,
mm.
or they might not feel safe to
Yeah.
express that vulnerability. But you have to just be able to just say, yeah, I'm okay. But then it's also okay to not be okay.
Yes, yes, absolutely. It's okay to not be okay because we are human.
Yeah. And I
We are
don't know if
human.
I answered David's question.
Yeah. He also said that vulnerability is a gift from God. Being
Yes,
vulnerable is a
it
gift from
is. I
God.
like that. I received that. I received that.
Yes, absolutely. Auntie Joanne says, did you all ever read Sassy, Single, and Satisfied by Michelle McKinney Hammond? I have
No,
not.
I have not.
I have not, but I will have to look into that because I love reading.
Yes. So now you
Thank you.
just gave us a book like for us to read now.
Yeah, exactly. A good resource. Um, Karen said, this is really good. I'm glad that you guys are enjoying the conversation.
Yes, awesome.
JB, J Boogie said, this is really
Oh,
good.
love
Love
you
you,
too, Julia.
Faith. Shakira says, y'all saying what needs to be said. Thank you, Shakira. Let's see. Hi, up. I don't know if you know this person.
Your nickname?
Yes, Faith
Hello.
is classy.
Hi, is that Malcolm?
Yep, yep. That was Malcolm. Hmm.
Hi, Malcolm.
All right. Okay. So let's jump into our next question. So there is a huge emphasis or pressure with being in a relationship. There
Hmm.
are so many women that feel negative or bad just about being single and feel like there is a deficit if they are single, or they don't have a plus one to weddings, or they don't have a plus one to holiday parties or family gatherings, or they don't have anyone to bring in the New Year's with, or celebrate Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is a big holiday for couples and relationships, and
Hmm.
it can be very, very difficult for single
Yes.
women because we're talking about
Yes.
women. What encouragement or words of affirmation would you tell a single woman who is legitimately having a difficult time accepting her singleness?
I would say, first of all, know that you're enough. Because I
Mm,
think sometimes we feel that we always have to be more or have more or do more.
mm,
But just kind of starting with the place that, you're enough. And that again, being single is not a bad thing.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's interesting that, David said being vulnerable is a gift. And I think singleness is a gift from God as well.
Mm,
Right. I do believe that there's some benefits, to being single. But I
mhm.
think instead of focusing on like, because you gave really good examples of certain occasions that really might heighten those
Yeah,
feelings. of thinking and focusing on your singleness, but just focusing on the moment that you're in right now. I think just staying in the now, focusing on being the best you that you can be, whatever that means for you. Again, you're defining that again, as going back to what we were saying about creating your own narrative and your own story. And then if you want to think about it, because it may be hard to not think about your single status in certain moments, and when you're in certain circles, it kind of is like in your face. Like when you talk about Valentine's Day, it's like
Yeah.
oh, you get
Mhm.
a Valentine's Day dance, and it's like right. But I
Yeah.
think that just to not just kind of stay stuck on just I'm single, and that there's nothing that you can be working towards, because I like how you used the word hope earlier,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Just think about that you're in preparation. It's like a preparation period. So you're kind of,
Mhm.
getting yourself prepared, for whatever it is that God has planned for you. Right.
Mhm.
Think about it like a in the meantime moment.
Yeah.
And in
Yep.
the meantime, just celebrate life, and all that life has to offer, be present in everything that you're doing. And
Yeah.
focus on living and not just being single.
Not just being single.
Yep.
Oh, I love that because there's so much more to us than our relationship status.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
I
agree,
love
Nicole.
Yeah. So I feel like you kind of answered this question. For women that are single, I like to reframe how we view and perceive singleness. What are some other things that women can focus on in their lives? And you kind of touched on this a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Like, and just again, just focus on the finding meaning in what matters to you. If I can add
Yeah,
anything else, and it might be spending time with family,
yeah, yeah,
spending time with your friends, girl trips, just family reunions, just different things. Being active in different organizations kind of gives
yeah,
you also something to do that you can find meaning. Being engaged in your community, there's so many
yeah.
different things going on in our communities that we can get involved in our church. Having a
Yeah.
hobby or building a
Mm-hmm.
career,
Mm-hmm.
that you
Mm-hmm.
love, right? That
Yeah.
doesn't feel like work. When you do
Right.
something that
Exactly.
doesn't feel like work, right? But just finding out whatever makes us happy outside of being in that relationship or being in a
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. I love those examples. So, what do you think? And this again will vary based on person and the season that they're in. What does a healthy lifestyle look like for a single woman in 2024?
In 2024. Well, I'm gonna just go ahead and just try to, use myself in terms of how I see it. For me, I
Yeah.
think, for me, a healthy lifestyle is taking care of yourself, mind, body, and spirit, right?
Mm,
For me, I've been focusing on making sure that I'm staying healthy, I'm staying fit, I'm eating right, taking care of my temple,
yeah.
right? Because especially when you get to a certain age, things are shifting and changing, and I have a milestone birthday coming up. You just have to kind of be on top of those things, protecting your space, protecting your peace.
Mm,
That's a big thing for me. Is really protecting my peace. Life happens to us, but I'm in control, and we're in control of how we respond to the things that happen to us, right? We don't have to let things consume us. So that's a part of having a healthy lifestyle, and just really tapping into that spiritual aspect of who we are, making that
mm,
connection. I'm being more intentional around being engaged in my word,
mm,
um, and
yeah.
really creating a prayer life, a consistent prayer life. It's
Yeah.
important, because
Yeah.
sometimes you can get caught up with the busyness,
Yeah.
of things, but just really kind of remembering that should be the focus. That should be the foundation,
Yeah.
and it shouldn't be like
Mhm.
the afterthought, right? So
Mhm.
but they all work together, and I think that when you're you know taking care of you, right, then you're living a healthy lifestyle, whatever that means. You're just making sure that you're taking care of yourself and thinking about yourself.
Mm. Yeah, I agree with everything you said, especially the point about taking care of yourself. And I think in order for us to know how to take care of ourselves, we have to spend time with ourselves.
Yes.
Think we live in a society
Absolutely.
where we always have to be around people. We're
Yes.
constantly getting that information. We are on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all these different social media outlets that are feeding us and telling us what we want or what
Mm-hmm.
we think we want,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Or what we
and
should want.
or what we should want.
Mm-hmm.
And that really doesn't give us an opportunity to know what we want in the depths of our hearts and in our souls.
Yeah.
One session I had with my therapist, and I was like going through this whole phase where I felt like, singleness was just like the worst thing in the world. And I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
understand why um, certain relationships were kind of like falling off. And she said something so healing to me. She was like, sometimes you need to spend time alone so that you know what it is that you want.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. I totally agree with it.
Right. And you
Yes.
you don't you don't know unless you spend time with yourself. And
Mhm.
there's nothing wrong with that. Like, how else
There
are you
isn't.
gonna know that you like to travel or you don't like, when someone says a certain thing to you, or you like certain things, or this is, what you won't tolerate or what you will
Yeah.
accept. And so you really have to spend time with who you are at your core to find that out.
I really appreciate you bringing that into the conversation, Nicole, because I really do think that that's so important. When you said it, it really hit because I embrace that, right? And I
Hmm.
think that that's what also helps me too, to not, you have to know how to block out
Mm.
certain messages and blocking out certain you know assumptions and what you're what's being dictated to you about what you should be and who you should be with and when. You have to know you. And some
Yes.
people aren't comfortable with being with themselves, and I think that that's a question mark right there. I mean, there's something
Hmm.
interesting about that you can't be, some people can't be alone. It's something that needs to be looked at, because
Yeah.
what is that about? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid
Yeah.
of about yourself? Like, and so you do have to be in that space. And that's why it has helped me too, that I use my time, being single, thinking about, again, those areas, if there's still areas that I need to, work on, because none of us is perfect. No one's perfect,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But that is
Yep.
okay. It's perfectly okay, because I feel
Yep.
like that just makes me more prepared, right?
Yes.
So, if that happens in terms of a relationship, to your point that you just made, you get a chance to know what your likes are, what your dislikes are, what your interests are, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what your belief systems are, and all those things that can make or break a relationship. So it's
Mm.
almost like doing
Yeah.
that prep work, so that when
Yeah.
you come together, then that's where you can be, equally yoked.
Absolutely. Yeah. Equally yoked, and knowing yourself and what you don't want
Yes,
is, I think, is half the battle with making the right decisions with the
absolutely.
people, like you were saying, with the people in your space. So that's a part of protecting your peace, knowing who should be in your space and who should not be in your space. And making those decisions quicker than later, because sometimes I know I have had people stay in my circle too long, and it impacts your peace. And
It
so
does.
making sure that we make those right decisions with the right people, or having the right people in our lives, and
Hmm.
protecting, our peace.
Yes.
Yeah. Good. That was a great response. I love what you said. So I want to lift up a couple of positive attributes about being single. And I know we kind of touched on it earlier a little bit, but
Yeah.
can you name some of the things that you may have experienced or lived through with positive attributes with being single?
Well, I mean, I think you got some freedom when you sing. And then, I mean, and what I mean by that, right? I mean that, and this is from the perspective of how I view what it means to be in a relationship. Because if you're in a relationship, you have to think about the other person. You can't, you know, just make decisions without that other person or considering that other person, right? Because again, that's partnering. That's what partnering is. You have to think about other people. So when you're single, it's like, if I want to get up and go, I can just get up and go. I don't have to worry
Yep.
about, oh, wait a minute, I need a babysitter, or I need, like,
Right.
or I need to check in, to make sure it's okay with my partner, because again, out of respect, that's what you do,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So there's a little bit of freedom, and you have some flexibility, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just gives you opportunities to, kind of be able to be engaged in a different way,
Yeah.
and being involved in special projects, or making a decision if you want to take on a project at work that requires you to stay later, or if you want to travel,
Hmm.
you can just make the plan and just I can
Yeah.
just go, as opposed to other things you have to put in place. So those
Yeah.
are some things like freedom and flexibility.
Yeah. I think those are great benefits. And let me just be clear, y'all, before y'all come on here trying to say anything negative. There are benefits to being in a relationship as
Yes, there
well.
are. Because I can give you
We
some
are
of those too, even though I'm at the moment, yeah, this benefits definitely.
we are not saying that being in a relationship does not have benefits. It does, and
It totally does.
I totally agree with you. And can I add some benefits too, Faith? Is
Go
that
ahead,
okay?
absolutely. Bring it on. Let's hear it. I want to hear it.
Okay, can we talk about naps uninterrupted? Because
Rest.
let me
Oh my goodness, yes.
I will take a nap in a heartbeat on a Saturday, a Sunday, and I don't have
Yes.
to get up and make nobody play
Dinner,
or
right?
clean up dinner. Listen, I'm holding on to that benefit as long as I can, because
I
I
love it.
know when that time comes, it's going to be different. I might have to, start taking cat naps when I'm in a relationship,
Yeah, those
but
little power naps they call them, right?
exactly. But listen,
Yes.
uninterrupted naps, I'm here for it.
It's nothing to take lightly. That's good stuff right there, Nicole. I'm glad
Right.
you said that.
Exactly, exactly. All right, so we have one more question, and I want you guys, if you have any questions in the chat, you can start putting them in the chat now. If you have a question for Faith, I believe in being proactive when it comes to certain experiences or having wisdom when navigating certain areas of our lives. What are some phrases women can say in response to those questioning their relationship status?
That's a really good question. Because I was thinking, okay, what are some facilitative responses?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Some snarky responses.
Right, right.
um, I don't know. I mean, I just kind of feel like, because one of the things when I thought about, I'm thinking about this question, is that it's not necessary. Like, you don't want to necessarily feel like you have to defend, your status per se.
Yeah,
So, I
yeah.
try to, I first of all start from that posture, of feeling that I don't have to defend, right?
Mm,
And I think that changes the response. That's why I wanted to say that first,
yeah,
right? Um, and so, because I choose to not feel that I need to defend, because I don't think I need to defend my status.
yeah.
Just say, I'm happy, and that's all that
Hmm.
matters. I'm good.
Right. I'm
And
happy.
and I know you said this, and I actually feel that as well, that I'm single by choice, because you always get that follow up question, like, why are you
Hmm.
single? Like, what are
Right.
you doing being single, right? But again, it's not, it's a choice, right?
Yes.
I don't have to be.
Yep.
And when and if it's meant for me to be in a relationship, it'll happen.
Hmm. Exactly.
Yeah. And I even I stayed away from saying not finding the right person, because I don't necessarily think that it's necessarily about that.
Mm,
You
mm,
know, because you could have, again, you could have met. You don't know if that person is in your life already,
mm.
or if you haven't met
True.
them yet. So I think for me, I try to stay focused on me, and in terms of just what my what it means for me, and that's just these those some of the most honest responses. That's just
Yeah.
where it's at right now. Yeah, and it's fine.
Yeah. 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 I like that you said that you don't want to frame it as if you are defending your
Right,
relationship status,
right.
because I mean there's nothing to
No
defend.
reason. There's no reason to.
There's
Right.
no reason to. Okay, thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
Um, any last words for our audience?
Whew. Last words. Um, I just think again, I said it earlier around just trusting that, and I have to give credit for this. And he's actually watching that, in terms of helping me with this, that where we are is where we're supposed to be, you know
Yeah.
um and so that has helped me a lot. And so that's something that, just to kind of share and pass that gift and that gem, on to
Mm-hmm.
everyone else, that takes the pressure off of you when you look at it
Mm,
from that space, that where you are now is where you're supposed to be, and that it's
yeah.
okay and you're going to be okay. So just like releasing yourself from the pressure of what society says you should be doing and who you should be with. um just release that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Release that
Yes.
pressure. Yeah. I totally agree with that. Well, thank you, Faith. This has been awesome.
You.
You're welcome. We are going to open it up to some questions and
Yes,
comments. Do you guys
bring
have
them
any
on.
questions or comments for Miss Faith while she's here? Miss
God bless you
Tracy
too,
said, "God
Tracy.
bless."
God bless you too,
Yes,
Tracy.
God bless you as well. Thank you, Jess. She's giving us a round of applause.
I see.
And Kay says, "I am a
And
nap
that
queen." I will have to adapt. I will have to
he,
understand and adapt.
he will have to
Yeah.
understand. Yes.
Yes. All right. So Kay says she has a question. All right. We waiting on your question, Kay. Thank you. Oh, my niece is watching. She says, "Thank you for
Oh,
these videos. They are very inspiring."
oh, awesome.
You're welcome, Ari. You're welcome. See, this is what I'm talking about. The next generation, they
Yes,
need to
yes.
see and hear these conversations around singleness. It's important.
Yeah, I think so too. Totally
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. So while we are waiting on Kay's question, I wanted to do something a little different at the end of the show because I love affirmations. And affirmations honestly have been a source of healing for
Inspiration.
me when
Yes.
it comes to just trying to be a better version of myself. And
Yes.
so, Faith, as you were talking, I was just writing down words. And I wanted to give the people an affirmation based on some of the words that you
Oh,
use.
look at this. I can't wait to hear it. Oh my goodness. What did you put together?
So, okay, let's see how this gonna go. All right. And if somebody can put this in the chat while I'm saying it, because I don't want to forget it. All right, here we go. I will not live under society's expectations when it comes to singleness. I will become the best me that I can because I am enough.
Okay, you got to give that again.
Okay, I'm gonna give it again. I will not live under society's expectations when it comes to singleness, I will be the best me that I can be because I am enough.
Okay. Okay. All right. I can put it in the chat. Did somebody?
No, they didn't.
Okay. Let me see if I can do it.
Okay, thank you. And when you after you finish wrapping that up, we have a question. Oh, okay, baby sis.
Oh wait, what happened? Somebody
He
put
put
it
it
in
in the
there?
chat. Yeah, somebody put
Oh,
it in
look
the
at
chat.
that. Okay, look at that. Teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Jessica. I will not live under society's expectations when it comes to singleness. I will be the best me that I can be because I am enough. Y'all, this is y'all
I love
affirmation
it.
for however many times you need to repeat this, however many times you need to declare it, however many times you need to say it to really change the narrative about you being single. I hope this was very helpful. Again, thank you, Jessica, for writing that affirmation.
Awesome. Love it.
Yes.
I
All
like
right.
it, Nicole. That was
Thank
awesome.
you. Thank you. All right, we have a couple more comments. My other niece says, amazing. Thank you for watching, Cami. Auntie sees you. All right, so here's Kay's question. She says, am I wrong for saying I am happy being single?
No, I know earlier when I was answering one of the questions, I said you can be happily single. It might, you know, because I've heard responses, when that is said, and it's like it's almost you're made to feel like you can't possibly be happy if you're single. And again,
Mm,
I don't receive that. I don't see it that way. And so, you know, um, Karen, I would say, is it Karen? Am I saying her name correctly? Is it
yes.
Karen or okay?
Ka-
Just want to make sure I'm saying it right.
Karen.
Karen. Right. If you are happy being single, then it's right because it's right for you. That's how you feel.
Mm, it's right for you. Can you go over your definition again, Faith, of how you define being single?
Yeah, I said that singleness was pretty much a state of being, in one's own space.
Mm,
So whatever
yeah,
that is for you, then who's to tell you that that's wrong?
yeah, yeah. Like you use the word release. We have to release whatever are the expectations people hold over us or hold us to when it comes to
Right.
our relationship status. I agree
Yeah.
with you 100%,
It's
Faith.
a shift in
Yeah.
mindset. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that was a good question. Okay, we still have people writing the affirmation. Thank you,
I love it.
Ari. I would just like to say that I am in love with the show. 5 stars
5 stars.
recommended.
I
Oh my
love it.
god. I love my nieces. They are the best. Okay. Jessica says, yes, you're welcome. Sis, thank you. Thank you. Um, Sadia gives hearts. Thank you, cousin
Awesome.
Dia, for watching. And Karen says, good answer. So
Glad.
we
Awesome.
appreciate it.
Good
Wow.
question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for watching. This was great. Y'all, this has been an amazing show. Let's give Faith a round of applause. And y'all,
Thank
Faith's
you.
birthday is coming up this month in a couple of weeks. So if y'all can drop happy birthday in the comment to show her some early birthday love, that would
You
be
making me
great.
blush, Nicole.
Yes, we are going to give you your flowers and celebrate you, even though your birthday is in a couple of weeks. But we just, say happy birthday to you because you
Thank you.
deserve it. Yes, y'all.
Thank you so
Yes,
much. Thank you. Oh, that makes me feel so happy.
yes. Yes. You getting your flowers.
I
You getting that
received
round of
them.
applause.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you. And now my face is hurting from smiling so hard.
You getting all the flowers,
I
the
received them all. Thank you.
yes, 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 yes. So
Thank
you
you.
got to celebrate all month, Faith. This is like
Yes,
a
you're right. All year. How about I'm going to celebrate all
right.
year?
This
This is a
is all
milestone.
exactly. This is a milestone birthday. So we just praise God for you and all that He has done in your life and how you have been a blessing to so many people. And may this season be a season where you just receive an overflow of love, laughter, joy, happiness, a beautiful husband, man, kingdom husband, and just you going further into your purpose, whatever that is that God has for you.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Receive.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Nicole.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, guys, Faith, you can stay on. So we are going to return next Saturday, same time, same place. And next week, we are going to have guest speaker Larea talk about hurting while single and how to go from hurt to wholeness while single. So, you guys make sure you join us, tag your friends, and just share this information with those who you believe could benefit from. And again, we thank you guys for tuning in and watching. And I hope that you have a wonderful weekend and just know that God is proud of you guys. All right. Have a good night, everybody. God
Take
bless
care,
y'all.
everyone.
God bless. God bless. All right. Let's see. Making sure everybody got their comments in. Good night. JB says night night.
Night, night, JB.
Good night. Good night. Enjoy your night
Thank you
as
so much.
well.
You too.
Peace, Cammy and Ari. Good night.
Good night. I love it.